Hello and welcome back to Brentford. First off, an apology. There was no episode Wednesday, just unfortunate circumstances. Because it was a transfer window, I found myself in a position where I'm just going to have to record, edit all on the same day. It is what it is. That's fine. And then last minute, basically it's like, hey, can we do this Wednesday? Yep. Okay, never mind then. So here we are. Sorry, it's Friday. Since we last met, which was a long time ago, you can see why it's taken me so long to actually get to this point. While I was having to do the recording last minute. I was all the way back up here with the quintessential FM26 experience of 4-2 Barcelona, 3-1 actually, but yeah. And then 3-1 away at Crystal Palace, losing in that one, starting a run of terrible performances. Bodo Glimt got us back on track. Then, to further cement the what is going on with form in general, it's beat Chelsea 4-1. Carabao Cup continued 3-0 victory away at Hull. I mean, fairly nice draws in the Carabao Cup up to this point. If I'd actually think about it, because you can see who we drew there. Thinking about it, probably ought to maybe have included Man City in the video today, but we're going to do the Champions League and Liverpool match. Yeah, and you've also seen the other thing regarding Manchester City already, but we'll get to that one. Yeah, we lost 3-0 to Spurs. Thomas Frank's still in charge. I guess we're still loyal to him. Managed to put away Man United in the 92nd minute before beating Wolves at home 3-0. Looking back, it was kind of weird that I made the decision when I made the decision. For Manchester City, away, I decided completely on a whim to deploy the 5-back formation and was immediately vindicated for it. Probably more the case that we'd struggled against Spurs, we struggled against Manchester United away, we struggled against Newcastle away, Arsenal at home. Kind of all those teams that we would definitely still be considered underdogs in. Chelsea at home, perhaps the anomaly in that one, but all the teams that we'd still be considered underdogs in hit Manchester City away, and I was like, right, we need to do something about this. Let's deploy the 5-back, see if it gets a little bit more out of it, because it is a little bit more underdog. We're still on attacking mentality with it, but it is a little bit more of an underdog formation. We were 7-0 up, we botched the clean sheet in the 93rd minute. The other thing to note here is we did most of December without 4 players. Thankfully, it did kind of weirdly coincide with Coyote's injury recovery being at the very end of this period, and he's also Italian anyway, so he didn't count. But I really wish the game would advertise African Cup of Nations at the start of the season a little bit better, because that hit us quite hard, considering Coyote was injured, and both El Halali and Doué, because that Doué brother declared for the African nation he's viable for. He's also been sold. We'll get to that bit in a moment. But he is declared for Ivory Coast. So he was gone, as was El Halali, as was Utara, and as was Kessié. Kessié is the least problematic of those ones because we have DM options. But Utara turned out not to be too much of a loss because Carritho decided to be sensational in his absence. So not as much of a problem. And part of the reason why I can maybe get away with the 5-back, because without one of our core front 3, play Carritho, play Gibbs White in those wide positions, and we've basically got it sorted already. I feel like Lewis Potter might have been injured as well and something like that. I think we were missing someone else in the attacking line, so it was making things a bit awkward for attacker midfielders at that particular point in time. The 5-back experiment immediately kind of fell apart straight away because we lost 2-0 to Aston Villa at home. But then we did it again against Manchester City and won again, this time 3-1, and then 6-2 at Grimsby. It is Grimsby. In what was actually 5 away games in a row because they like doing that to us. West Ham 4-1 away from home. Luton 2-0 away from home. And then we finally beat Atletico Madrid 4-2 away from home. And what now starts a run of 5 home fixtures in a row, in fact, after drawing with Sunderland. It isn't FMing, but beat Atletico Madrid 4-2. We were good for it. Don't get me wrong. We were good for it. And then drew to Sunderland, who were recently re-promoted. So still a thing. Atalanta, Liverpool. I'll just cover the Premier League next real quick. We're third. 3 losses in a row following the episode just gone. Did put us down the table a bit, but a lot of victories since has put us straight back up there. It's still relatively tight. Arsenal have usurped Brighton, but Brighton have a game in hand. They're still there, bafflingly, at the top. In fact, they could easily separate as 51 points of 50 to then our 42, in which case then it's a fight between us down to, it's 9 points to Liverpool in 11th. at that stage. Manchester City are 13th. They keep losing to teams Man United have just dropped into the relegation zone again. I'd probably say they got themselves out of it. They haven't. Manchester City are the most baffling team right now because they keep losing to teams they shouldn't do. They've just beat Salzburg 7-3 and Forest 4-2, but they've also lost to Arsenal 6-1 and Wolves 2-0, and they lost to us 7-1, of course, as well. They lost to Ipswich and West Ham. I mean, they started well, but yeah, they lost 8 games in a row in all competitions. A bit unlike them. I mean, in fact, it's 11 losses there in 13 games, and one of those was a penalty victory. At least they could beat Sunderland anyway. As for the Champions League, we are sitting nicely on 15 points with, weirdly, Manchester City, who've been woeful everywhere else, and PSG. Arsenal, Liverpool, Atletico Madrid, Galatasaray, and Napoli all on 13 points, with Barcelona on 12, and a goal difference that we better ours or equal ours if they win and we lose. I've only just noticed Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, both 7 points from 7. Dortmund, 2 for that matter, on exactly the same. Yeah, okay. Atalanta, our opponents, 10 points. Kind of doesn't affect them whatsoever, this result. Pretty much. Mathematically, they're not safe, but realistically, they are, whether they win or lose. No massive surprises on the absent ones. Villarreal, only 3 points. Monaco, currently 6. Feyenoord and Ajax, both bluffing their lines. AZ, actually the best of the Dutch, as things stand. 2 of the Italian teams, the only 2 to be 7 from 7. Porto, the only other unbeaten. I'm just glad that the Italian team we're facing today isn't either of those 2. Transfers out, the only one to mention is the one that you saw already slightly prematurely, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, Doué went. Leverkusen offered us, I think it's that plus something else. There is a conditional clause there, but it's profit. And with the arrival of El Khalali, it's less important we had Doué. So it was kind of just an opportunistic, yes, it will take the money. Meanwhile, Inbound was one I kind of forgot in the summer because his contract, I don't really know why, because he was a European club that doesn't play a calendar year schedule. He was at a club in the former Slavia Prague, a normal calendar, but his contract ran out at the end of 2027. So welcome Igo Ogbu, 3.5-star defender on a sensible wage. Forgot to change the attribute colours this time. We'll live. That's so annoying, by the way. And then one of the weirdest transfers I've ever done in my life. Welcome back to English football, Colin Gallagher. I scouted him. They said he was transfer listed for 6.6 million. He wasn't. He was transfer listed for 19.75. So every single time I tried to offer 6.7, they just declined me, even though that's what it said. Even that's what the game said they wanted from him, until eventually updated, and then I offered them the money they actually wanted straight, because even at 19.75, I think it was, value for money. It's odd that he can play wide midfielder left normal. Low key, could I train him to be a right wing back? In an emergency, like the proper Jordan Henderson replacement in that sense. You know what? I think I might be able to if I need cover for out there. You know what I mean? Essentially, this is more of just a preemptive strike of Kessié leaving at some point. Or Haidara, of course, who I am trying to shift, but nobody wants him. I should mention that Paulinho is on his way out at exactly the right moment, because if he plays one more game for me, I have to pay £6 million. Al Nassr bid 95 million for him. And truthfully, I think I could have got more, because they've just bid what his asking price is. If I took the asking price higher, they might have bid that. Honestly, it's absurd already. So Saudi Arabia, as much as they like Paulinho so far, you can take yet another Brentford striker. I say that actually. In terms of the league, 8 goals in 27, 5 goals in 22. Not been prolific in the league. It's been better in Europe, 3 and 6. We're already combating that by buying Karim Konate for 23 million, but we're not the only person in for him. 23 million is a release fee. We do have to, ironically, beat Atalanta to this signature as well as just in a game, and then Frankfurt as well. Quite a hefty contract for him, but I reckon he'll be worth it, because that's his record at the moment, and 6 in 9 in the Champions League for Salzburg. It's quite good, really. Fortunately, he's another Ivory Coast player, so next AFCON's going to hit us even harder. Mind you, we lost Doué, so that's technically 1 in, 1 out. Of course, none of these players are registered for the Champions League, because they don't let you re-register in January for some reason anymore. Another injury to Rico Henry causes problems at left back currently, because Sabat is also injured, but that's it for problems. I do feel confused that we've only got 2 injuries right now, and I've had to put in 3 youth players because the only 2 spare players should be the youth players already. So I feel like there's a third person missing here for some reason that I just can't fathom. But because I've had to delve into players that aren't even needing to be registered to fill the bench up today. Kalha, Zabani, Bombito, Collins. We are just going to go for it because this has been working for us right now. Muheim, Miley, Kessie, El Halali, Lewis Potter on the left, Gibbs White on the right, Euro Botta up front, Paulinho is on the bench. He's not coming on, no matter what. The Atalanta team feels relatively familiar, I think, anyway. I say that, actually. Edison, Darun, I want to say Hein, maybe? Peen. See, how do you pronounce that one? Scalvini Atalanta? I don't know if Costner is already, but I don't know if he's moved there in the summer. Kudus is obviously new, but I feel like Urbig's probably new, unless, again, he's moved there in the summer in real life. But Costner and Urbig were at German teams as of the end of last season. I just don't know if they've moved IRL either. Lewis Potter's charging. That's gone all the way out. If no one scores here, I'm going to be annoyed. Gibbs White, 6 goals in the Champions League in 7 matches. He's been pretty good as Gibbs White this year. Big flaps. Gibbs White maybe ought to have just taken that on a volley straight away. Definitely shouldn't have passed it to Yuri Alberto. The better option was the one coming from behind him. But nonetheless, the ball is in the net. I would have been furious if that hadn't ended up in the goal because that would have been horrendous decision making. The ruin out to Hien. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. It's not Hein. It's not German in that sense. I think he's Swedish, isn't he? So I'm not quite sure you pronounce the IE in that language. That's gone weird. Heen, maybe? Just Heen, rather than Hyen. Well, apart from the goal and that one highlight I was just talking over, sod all. Oh, just on the brink of half-time. Muheim on the corner. Herbig claims, and that's already the half-time whistle. Cool, right, that was it. They've already taken Costner off for the second half. Wait, did they change their... Is Atalanta not being a in-game name new this year? Because it just threw me off, though, because it clearly called it in a space where the name fix hasn't fixed it. But Bergamasca Calcio in FM. It threw me off for a second because I'm so used to seeing Bergamo Calcio. Not that I've even played FC since September, but of course they are Bergamo on there. But they've decided to go for Bergamasca here to avoid that clash, even though it's basically the same. Sorry, did I just see Salzburg playing Leipzig and Salzburg winning? Miley's tired. Haidara gets some minutes. Kessier is not playing well. Yarmoliuk gets some minutes. Gibbs White's tired. He scored a goal. Not quite sure why I didn't actually start Utara in this one, thinking about it. Although I might need him for up front. You're about it. Could just see this one out. I'm not too bothered. Left and right back, do I actually have viable replacements on the bench for you at all? No, not really. I can do Aya right back. That's not horrendous. Although actually, Haidara as a right back is better in the wing back. Yeah, he is. Just because I know the right back will get tired at some point, so I'll just preempt that substitution and probably just leave it at 4 subs. Haidara, 4 to Utara. Who scored? That's 2-0. I feel all right now. I say a draw was probably enough to get us top 8. That's a really nice ball past both defenders, though. Finish is pretty solid, too, across goal. It's one of those shots where you're like, stop shooting. Thankfully, Utara's put in the back of it, and we're not annoyed. Move up to 3rd, in fact, as a result of this victory, as things stand, which is not that... Wow, that's a good free kick. I'm pretty sure the text just said Atalanta Bergamasca Calcio, actually. So is that with or without the name fix? Because it still says Atalanta in it. Salzburg are playing Leipzig, and Karim Konate just made it 2-1 to Salzburg. If we can get a striker who scores goals, we're going to be unstoppable, I feel like, because the attacking midfielders are absolutely doing it right now. Ayers just scored from open play. I don't know what goal he scored already. But I'm trying to sell him as well because he's decided he's going to leave at the end of his contract in 18 months. So I might as well try to get somebody in. But the problem is, I quite like Ayer, and we'll see. I can get maybe 10 million from him. That's his price range right now. Maybe I can get 10 million in. Honestly, with the sale of Paulinho at 95, I'm happy to burn that 10 million and keep him for the 18 months. Copenhagen are beating Villarreal. Villarreal had an absolute stinker. A lot of people are knackered. In fact, actually, I probably have a centre-back on the bench, don't I? It's Lewis Potter's knackered. Damsgaard. That's fine. He'll do. That was not a waste of 5th sub. If I can save someone's fitness levels a tiny bit, why not? Like I say, if Utara didn't score from that position, I would have been mildly annoyed. I think as he still smashed it out of the goalkeeper. It was just bounced into the net. I don't quite know where he aimed here. He aimed far side. It came off the defender, which is fair enough because I think Urbig covered near post. In fact, in a weird way, it's wild that he got the goal claim for that because felt like a very big deflection. That felt more of an own goal. Atletico scored, but like I say, it doesn't matter as long as we win. If we'd lost, there would have been certainly a situation where we might have faffed around and not got in. But I saw Real Madrid win there, so they're into playoffs at least. A good win. We still conceded because you just can't keep a clean sheet in this game very easily. Can look at the table. I think all the ones in danger didn't. Remember Bodo Glimt were top 3 after game week 1. Yeah, I think that's the only one they won in the end. Trying to remember who was where. PSG were on 15 points, weren't they? They've drawn that last game. Porto lost their last game as well to lose their unbeaten. Liverpool and Arsenal both won on the game week to go to 16 points. So I think Arsenal are 8th already, but they were the one on 13 points that were top 8. Liverpool have leapfrogged them with a better victory, I guess, goal difference. PSG have dropped behind them because their goal difference has become worse as a result of them drawing than those two. Atletico have won as well, but they've not got a goal difference that was anywhere near. I think Napoli won whilst being on 13 points, but their goal difference is now, despite 5 wins and 2 losses, 0. And then despite having a goal difference of 10, Barcelona 12th. That's quite wild. I mean, if any of these teams on 8 points did anything, Copenhagen were winning 3-1 at one point, and I think they've ended up drawing that game. Leipzig could have been out thanks to Salzburg if Copenhagen held on to their win there, which they didn't. Yeah, they bottled it. 85-93. Bayern won 7-0. They were on the brink of not being in this, Bayern. Poor lost to Henk. Yeah, Liverpool had a massive win. That's how they got ahead of Arsenal. And Paris drew a Galatasaray. Wow. AZ with another goal could have got themselves in there at the expense of Leipzig. I think Olympiacos with a point might have gotten there at the expense of Leipzig. But straight around to 16. Oh, Brighton just played their game and lost. They lost to Palace there. Mourinho's in charge of Brighton. It's an optional feature fee. I'm not accepting anything with an optional. If you give me a permanent extra fee, then sure. You can have him on loan, and I'm not doing loans for 0. Well, that's the big one. 95 million. He had a sell-on fee, which is slightly annoying. But we get 73 million of that for a 2.5-star player. If I do this, if I tweak this 5-back formation, there's a non-zero chance. There's a non-zero chance I end up doing strikerless. Because I can't get a striker to work consistently so far. I don't know if it's just because the strikers we've had have been subpar. But yeah, there's a chance I just go strikerless, and that way we get to utilise all of our attacking midfielders a lot better. I don't have to start culling them. Henderson was on my radar. Dean Henderson's 30 in game already. I didn't realise he was that old. I thought in real life he was still about 24. I guess he must be about 28 in real life. 27? Again, no. Stop doing squad player, no money. I love getting an offer like this live. I say live, it's obviously a recording, but 15 appearances in the second half of a season. It's not guaranteed, but they're putting him in as regular starter, where he'd have to beat a chap who's worth $1 million to the punch, and a chap who's on 5k a week. Vitti's probably the only one he's not beating. I'm saying that, actually. Actually, the guy that's on 5k a week is actually probably the best one of the 3. But he might even beat the DM to the punch. I reckon he could get 15 appearances. What's their schedule like? Have they got 15 games left? They have exactly 15 games left. 16. He'd have to play 15 of the 16 games remaining. Suddenly, I feel slightly less confident. Oh, I switched it to 5 games. We're in. He can definitely play 5. He can definitely play 5 of 15. Squad player, no. We've not had Kareem Konate news one way or the other yet. Did I just see Konate news? No. I just wanted to saw something to do with Crystal Palace there, but maybe they just wanted him. I thought that would have been a late kick in the teeth on that one. If someone who didn't really have a bid accepted got in, nicked him. Stop offering no money. If you want me to sacrifice the homegrown club potential of him, then don't offer no money. All right, so people are tired from the midweek. Oh God, now I've got to play Liverpool and the people are tired. I mean, ironically, play a game. Off you go. I just realised his deal probably wouldn't have even concluded until after that 16th game, so he would have had to do 15 out of 15. God, I'm going to have to play Palmer at this rate. There he is. I paid 40 million for Krupi. I better recoup that somehow. Keeps Wise tired. The good news is everyone else has basically got over themselves apart from Yarmolenko and Muheim, who wants to go on loan. In fact, he's only started 4 games, but still. He's been in the picture because of how many times left-backs have been injured. Oh, hang on, Ogbu. I don't need Palmer. Ogbu's registered for this. Palmer needs to be on the bench, though. Creathia is on international duty with an Argentina under-23s. Don't know why. That's the other player that was missing. I just realised. I have no idea what this tournament is. It just says final stage. Oh, Olympic qualifiers. Because, of course, they'll do that now rather than an international break. Ooh. Sharda is back but not fully fit. Interesting. You know, actually, just because Yarmolenko is being a moody little sod, I do have Gallagher. I do have Engelns, who has the number 8 shirt, because he wanted it For a player we brought in early on, he's actually getting some game time now. Barely played it since we signed him in the beginning of season 1 for 5 million. Actually getting him that development time, he's worth a fair bob now. If only we can get you, your potential Croupy. You seem to be declining rather than getting better. Anyway, Liverpool's squad is questionable. Got the Coyote will be available for this. Coyote, of course, we didn't register for the Champions League because he was injured at the start of the season. I thought that injury would last more time than it did. However, our squad can actually be not that awful. It's just Croupy is probably the question mark here. Kelleher, Ogbu, Bombido, Ayer, Muheim, Gallagher, Ingelns, Coyote, Damsgaard, Utara, Croupy. Wait, I have 8 substitutes. Oh, I do. Is that 4-4-2? You reckon? Oh, it is. Yeah. 4-2-4, in fact. It's a gusty drizzle, opposed to just a gusty drivel. I've just noticed they're playing without Szoboszlai, Wirtz, and their first 11 is still an 11 that exists at their squad currently. I don't like this. I just realised I didn't actually tell you the manager on this. The manager's Marco Rose, by the way, in terms of the Liverpool merry-go-round. Who's in charge of Man United? I need to have a look at that. They sacked him early on. He's at Fulham now. Dinked over. His kickoff highlight is probably going to be it was close. Oh, it actually wasn't the kickoff highlight. It just did kick off and then immediately went into the highlight. That makes more sense. Because they kickoff highlights don't usually continue if it's just a close. Certainly when it's usually a goal, they bother with that. But that's a good point. What happened to Alisson? Because he wasn't even on the bench. So I'm guessing they've sold him. But it does concern me that their first 11 is still an 11 that exists in start of the 2025, effectively. So yeah, it survived 2.5 years. Just obviously with the goalkeeper ascension. Although Andy Robertson in the big year 2028. And Van Dijk in the big year 2028. I imagine Van Dijk's longevity is pretty solid. And Salah's for that matter. We checked him last time. Yeah, he's still good. He's like 35, 36 now, but still good. Van Dijk's got to be in a similar boat, and Robbo's not much younger, I don't think, than either of them, if at all. But yeah, Salah's natural fitness, I think, was like 19, wasn't it? And he was holding on quite nicely at 36 or 35, whatever he was at when we looked at him. Joe Gomez, the centre-back, is curious, actually, over Konate, I now notice. And Robertson over Kirkes in-game. I imagine they gave Kirkes a nice boost in-game. So I'll be surprised if Robbo is better than Kirkes in-game. I'm not surprised Frimpong is regarded as the best right-back in the game for them, because he had an insane year in real life. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose this, by the way. Liverpool aren't having a great year. We've just come out of a European game. We have rotated a little bit. Goalkeeper should be perfectly fine. Of course, it was Liverpool who broke Kelleher this season, I feel like he took a knock again. Was that in last video? If it wasn't in the last video, Kelleher took another knock, by the way. It wasn't too long. But that's why I started looking at goalkeepers properly. I can't remember if it was in the last video or not. It's been that long since I actually recorded that. But 3-0. Called it before he even went in the goal. It's hilarious how there's just zero consistency. It's just zero consistency. Like, there's no point. Honestly, there's no real point just having a tactic, I think, half the time. Because there's just no consistency. Like, Atalanta as a squad, yeah, worse than Liverpool's. No doubt. But how do I go from beating Man City 3-1 away from home in this month, 7-1 away from home in the league, to 1-1 with Sunderland, for instance? Like, I don't mind losing to Liverpool out of context, like with no context of other fixtures and other results. Losing 3-0 to Liverpool, if it stays 3-0, sure, their squad's better than ours. Still. But they're having a rubbish season. They are currently 10th as things stand with the win. So worse than that without it. Admittedly, I think it was only 9 points between us, wasn't it? Despite that gap in places. They're the ones I called out at the start. I think we were 42, they were 33, right? 9 points separate us at this point in the season. It's not a lot, but a little run badly for us, a little run good for them. Good to see them with us at some point. That's Damsgaard in though, and Gallagher gets an assist. So he's up now to 10 goals. I had a weird situation with Coyote earlier, because he does have a promise. If we received a bid of a certain value, I'd say yes. He received a bid that wasn't of that value. I said no, and he kicked up a fuss. His release promise is 82 million. Not a release fee, obviously, but his promise was 82 million. Bayern Munich offered 63 million. How is anyone offside? Bayern Munich offered 63 million. I declined it. He got annoyed. Okay, do you understand numbers game? 63 is less than 82. Damsgaard, the reason that came to mind is because Damsgaard did the same thing with 72 million. But we haven't had an offer for him. Yeah, there's a man in the goalkeeper right now. He's not involved. Oh, Damsgaard was offside. Damsgaard was offside when he received the ball. That's fine. I wasn't paying attention to that. I thought it was going to be one of those annoying blocking ones, but fair enough. Unlike last time where we had 2 goals ruled offside that weren't offside. That one was. If Damsgaard gets on the end of that ball, that would be a miracle. Slightly concerned. Oh no, Damsgaard's got the ball back. Falls to Gallagher. They Sure. Where did Mama come from? Was it Valencia or Villarreal? One of them? Yeah, because obviously Oblak's at Atletico Madrid. I was just wondering if Gallagher and not Mama played with each other, but no, against each other. They would have played against each other, just not alongside each other. It just says replaced with Ahonor, so I'm going to take the context clue there. That's probably left back. Kessié is less tired than Marley, so sure, get you an odd. Utara might as well not be on this pitch. Krupi might as well not be on this pitch either. Don't lose money if I put Alberto on. Might lose brain cells, but not. And Coyote's actually also been useless as well. I don't know if Coyote is playing badly because he's sad that I rejected a bid that wasn't what we promised, but whatever. You know what? We'll call that for what it is. 3 good goals from Liverpool. It's an FMing, but it's 3 good goals from Liverpool. We'll just call that a bad day for Kelleher. Should have been 1-1. It wasn't. Now we've got to try and actually get past Man City as well. But I won't put that in the video. I feel like with a 3-1 away from home, a home game against Man City should be okay. So it will also be after deadline day, I think. Either that or that will be deadline day, so it'll just take forever to get there. That being said, I kind of want this Konate deal to get... Is this Konate deal just going to lead till deadline day? Oh, 8 million for Yano, by the way. That was an insane bonus clause on that one. It was 8 million after, I think, 20 games, yeah. So, whilst he's at a much higher value there, as we highlighted at the start of the year, his transfer fee is now 31.5, so it's much closer. Doesn't look as stupid now. I mean, an optional future fee for Yuri Alberto at PSV, where he probably would play 100k a month. Kane really is interested in joining, but actually, no, he's extremely interested in joining. I mean, if I was going to utterly destroy the wage structure, they didn't give Parrott potential in this game. Konate, can you please just make a decision? Our deadline day's after this Man City game, so I don't think it's actually even going to come through in time. It isn't. Well, I'll let you know if we get Konate or not in the next video. We'll leave that as a cliffhanger. But thank you for joining me. Until next time, do like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal by now. But yes, until next time, ta-ra.